Jezebel, St. Andrew, Jezebel.
You're listening to the St. Andrews Jezebel Podcast. My name is Ashley, and today we welcome salty local comedian Janet Fortune. She hosts a weekly comedy open mic at the library on Beck, and that's every Wednesday, and she does a great job, so I'm super excited for you to hear her. Next week, don't miss it because we have got JD Justice back from Palmetto Paint. I had a great time on his web series. That was the first time I ever painted in my life, and I thank JD for helping me have that experience and all the good he does in the community. So y'all tune in next Thursday. Please don't forget to follow us wherever you get your podcast and share it with all your salty friends or folks who might be moving to the area soon. If you're interested in sponsoring an episode or two, please message me and I'll send you the information. All right, y'all, it's time. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite beer, and enjoy the show. Good afternoon, Janet. How'd you get into stand-up comedy?
I had my son young and raised him on my own and worked 2 jobs, put myself through school. My life was great. I had the career, the dream house. My son's graduating high school. I got laid off and I had to move to Jacksonville and leave him. And when I was there, I decided I could either sit around and feel sorry for myself or try something I've always wanted to do. And I took an intro to stand-up class at Creative Veins and got my confidence and all that and helped with the joke writing structure. And I did my first open mic October 5th, 2018.
So, were you a funny kid?
I think so. I got made fun of a lot as a kid, and that was always my defense mechanism to make a joke about it. You know, so I talked about coping mechanisms earlier, but that was definitely mine. So if I laugh at you, you won't make fun of me, I guess. Or if I laugh at myself.
That's usually my coping mechanism, too. I always say I got to laugh to keep from crying.
Laughing on the outside, crying on the inside.
That's the way.
Yeah.
And so I've watched a little bit of your gig reel. How would you describe your sense of humor?
I'm a blue style comic, which means I'm dirty. I'm trying to clean up my act, but it's not going so well. But definitely, I try not to be too self-deprecating and a little passive-aggressive. I'm getting more into crowd work and all that good stuff, but I'm still a dirty comic.
Tell me more about your open mic, please. It's at the library, right?
Yes. So it's a comedy open mic at the library on Beck. It's every Wednesday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. So it's regardless of your level of expertise or anything like that. If it's your first time or your 50th, I'm going to give you at least 5 minutes. If you're a traveling out-of-town comic, I'll give you more. But it's a great room. It's a great time. It's definitely a safe place. I don't do any content restrictions or anything like that. So if you get easily offended, probably don't go. But we've built something really great and really special. And it's really great to just go there every week and see, the regular open micers have been coming in and putting the work and how much they've grown and getting better. And then we have an audience, which I don't know how familiar you are with other open mics, but in comedy open mics, it's generally you're talking to 10 comics who are rooting for you to fail. So to be able to actually give them a room to be a good judge of if their content is working. So it's great. I love it.
Write satirical songs. And I have a song that's called Downtown. And you could probably think of what that may be about. And for most people that I perform it for, light bulbs go on, they get it, They laugh. But I played in front of a crowd at the Florida Folk Fest last week. And it just did not. It just whop right in the water. So what do you do when nobody laughs?
Oh, it's soul crushing. I did a show in Dothan, Alabama a couple weeks ago, and you talk about crickets. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. But you just get back up there and do it again. I can do the same set to 2 different audiences and bomb on a Wednesday and then a kill on Thursday. You don't know. Comedy's very subjective. You don't know what you're going to get into. You don't know how the audience is going to perceive it. You try to roll with the punches as much as you can. If you can, that comes with experience, being able to read the room and all that good stuff. And that's just now what I'm getting more into, pulling crowd work and everything like that. If my material is bombing, can't let it get to you. Embrace the bomb.
Embrace the bomb, y'all.
Embrace the bomb.
I love that. I definitely can relate to that because that's an acquired skill to be able to read your room and find out who is this audience, what's their comedic palette, what's their music palette, what do these people like? And sometimes that's just really hard to tell.
And you think you sometimes have it figured out and they don't. I had a show back home and the whole audience was over the age of 70. And I was like, oh, this is going to be bad. And I did my first 2 jokes. And I was just getting O's, but not laughs. So I boarded everything and did 20 minutes of crowd work and they loved it. So You just got to get there.
Awesome. Good for you. And what do you love about hosting the open mic over there?
It is so fulfilling. I mean, that mic wasn't started for me to make money or for the library to make money. It was started to create and foster the new generation of comics here in Panama City. And we've done that. And it's just, you're a performer. And like you said, like when it doesn't go, it can be soul crushing. And every time where I'm like down and like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I putting myself through this? And I go do the open mic and just to see how engaged the audience is and to see again, we've got like Brett Simmons and Marcus Esquire and Brittany Smith and just this core group of regulars and just seeing them progress. And
I'm going to make it out to it someday. I live on the West End, so it's a little hard for me, but I will someday. I've heard nothing but great things.
If you go to Panama City Comedy's website or just follow them on social media and all that good stuff, it's posted. But there's 4 local venues that they produce shows, and it's the Tap Room, Buster's Hangar, House of Bourbon, and Newbie's Brews and Booze.
Fantastic. I love that. And now, when is the one at House of Bourbon? That's on a Thursday night.
Third Thursday of every month is House of Bourbon. I think that might be a $15 cover now, but it used to be a $10. I'm not sure. But that one's a really good room too.
So something I've always wanted to know, because I have this thing, I think that a lot of musicians are wannabe comedians.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, myself included. How are bits constructed?
You get the idea, you write it down, and everyone's process is different. Like for me, I have a notebook on me at all times. I have one next to my bed. And when the idea comes, I write it down, and then I just start formulating there. I usually start with the punchline's what comes to me. And then I go backwards and start. And then my writing process is I do like word association exercises and all that, see how far I can take it. And then just start trimming the fat. Like how little can I say to get to the punchline and have it make sense? Because it's pretty common misconception, newer comics, that there's too much build up and you lose the audience. So just getting there quickly and then I have my comedy mentor. If I'm stuck or anything like that, I reach out to him and he'll help me. But everyone's is different.
I would say that's a little bit of a parallel to songwriting, because I usually start with the hook and then follow a similar process. We have a saying, and that is, don't bore us, get to the chorus.
Yeah. You'll see that a lot, like with first timers and newcomers, because they watch these Netflix specials and they're like, he's talking for an hour. I'm like, but you're not Dave Chappelle.
Yep. The
audience doesn't care about you. You got like that. You got to get them. And if you don't, you lose them and it's gone. You're probably not going to get them back.
That's right. Speaking of Dave Chappelle, I went to his hometown in
Ohio,
and they love him.
Yes. Yeah. He's great. I watched he did this interview with Dave Letterman, like there's a Netflix thing on there, and it was just so great. And like his sense of community there. And he's probably my favorite.
I really respect and enjoy him. So how do you practice your bits? Do you have friends or family that you try them out on before you take the plunge on the stage?
I'll run ideas by people, but usually the practice ground is open mic. But usually when I'm talking with my friends and everything is when I come up with a lot of new material and all that and write that down. But the open mic is the practice area.
Fantastic. And what's something that you wish the public knew about comedians?
We're not all fundamentally broken and disturbed. But I think all artists, regardless of your art form, we all have our inner demons, and we're all usually hyper intelligent and have different ways of processing things. I think the most interesting thing is most of the comics I've met are the most boring people I've ever hung out with in my life. Like they're hilarious on stage, and then I'm like, let's go have a beer. And I'm like, I want to die. This is 5 minutes of my life I'm never getting back. Good day, sir. You're emulating a character on stage. Although there is truth there, it doesn't necessarily resonate to who you are as a person. So if that makes sense.
Absolutely. You take on that stage persona, and it's not a complete falsehood.
It's usually, I wish I was more like that. Like you could probably cuss me out and I'd just be like, okay, and walk away. But you put a microphone in my hand and I'm on stage and I'll cuss you out. I would never do that one-on-one.
So this is a show about St. Andrews. Mm-hmm. What do you love about St. Andrews?
I love St. Andrews. So when my company transferred me, when they officially decided that I was going to transfer to Panama City, they put me up on beachside. And I was like, oh no, this isn't for me. And I literally got lost and found St. Andrews, found my townhome, found my favorite bar and everything like that. But I've never lived anywhere like this, like a real community where it's neighbor helping neighbor and business supporting business, artists supporting artists. And Panama City gets a bad rap. They can call it Panama City, but I'm glad to call it home.
I love that. And how do you hope to see St. Andrews develop?
It's booming right now. I don't want it to get too big. But in a perfect world of, I don't even know, maybe if they could get better parking. But I think it's got a good mix of bars and restaurants and shops in there and a good eclectic mix of people.
And do you think we'll ever have a real dedicated comedy venue here?
It would be a dream, but comedy is not very lucrative and it's very hard. It would be, I think, to do something like that, to have a dedicated comedy club in this small of an area, you'd have to almost make it like a creative arts center and do like I said, I took an intro to stand-up class, do something like that, have a writing course, improv class, all that good stuff. I think that would be the only way it could survive financially, but it would be awesome. And then that would be the open mic space and then bring in out-of-town comics for bigger shows.
I really hope we will see it someday. Other towns have comedy clubs. Why can't we? I think it'd be great.
Yeah, I think the nearest one is the Comedy Zone in Fort Walton. And then there's Tampa, the Improv in Orlando and Tampa, and Side Splitters in Tampa, and then Jacksonville has one. Generally, the producers are using venues and everything like that.
How can folks reach you online and beyond?
On Instagram, I'm at Janet Party of One. Facebook, just Janet Fortune. I do have a website with a form fill, janetfortunecomedy.com. Best place, social media, just message me and all that good stuff. And I update all my shows, the updated monthly show calendar on that as well.
Fantastic, folks. Folks, if you need a laugh, go out and find Janet Fortune. You'll have a good time if you've got the right comedy palette.
Follow me on Instagram because I need more followers. I suck at social media. So, at Janet Party 1.
Fantastic. All right, Janet, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
All the best. And until next time, keep St. Andrews salty. One of the best things about St. Andrews is that you can see live music every day. That's right. There is live music being played somewhere in St. Andrews 7 nights a week. Fortunately, my friend Ken Schaefer creates and publishes a weekly schedule for St. Andrews as well as most of Bay County. Ken's spreadsheet schedule is updated often when there's any changes. Ken also shares individual music events and is walking the walk and talking the talk when it comes to supporting live music. Not only does Ken supply the music schedules, but he attends several music performances a week and takes fantastic photos of the musicians. As a working musician myself, I feel blessed to have Ken and his wife Donna as treasured members of our local musical family. Make sure you like and follow Ken's page, Salty Sounds in St. Andrews, and Oh Boy Music on Facebook, so that you'll always know where all the live music will happen. Thank you so much, Ken, for everything you do. Here's some community events for the week of July 21st through the 28th. Tonight, Thursday night, there's an open mic hosted by Steven at the library on Beck, and I think they start at 7:30. You know, they've got a really nice selection of beers. The whole place looks like a library, and there's actually books that you can read. It's really a cool spot. If you haven't been there before, I highly recommend it. And then if you're looking for something to do after work on Friday, then I suggest you go on the historic walking tour with Ellen. They meet at the Panama City Publishing Museum at 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. And it's just a light walk around St. Andrews, but I promise you'll learn things you didn't know before. Who could forget? The market at St. Andrews is every Saturday from 9 to 1 in the Oaks by the Bay Park, located at 2715 West 10th Street. This is the perfect place to support local farmers, food trucks, and the musicians who will be performing across the street at the tap room. That's the best place to get a cold beer on a Saturday morning, y'all. It's always awesome. This Saturday, later in the afternoon, Matt Siegel is playing at the Little Village from 6 to 9. Matt Siegel is one of the best guitar players in this area. He also plays with a Brothers Revival, which if you're into the Allman Brothers, you'll love that. Make sure you check them out. Moving on to Sunday, Alice's on Bayview has brunch on Sunday, and I believe it starts at 10 a.m., and they usually have some great jazz music, and they have a wonderful brunch menu. Cannot forget to mention the Bloody Marys. Their Bloody Marys are fantastic. Monday, you've got Monday Night Little Fest at 6 p.m. That's also at the tap room. So when you get off work on Monday, buzz by the tap room, have yourself a cold beer, and listen to the local musicians play for you. They usually have probably around, I'd say, 3 or 4 per night, so it changes pretty quickly. Tuesday is a good day to go see the new Coastal Birds exhibit on Janie's Fence, and it is beautiful. All of the artwork was created by Floriopolis volunteers, and the exhibit is also managed by the Floriopolis volunteers. The exhibit will be up for the rest of July, and the artists in the Coastal Birds exhibit are Jim Hayton, J.D. Justice, Heather Parker, Silas Dyer, Dolly Jewell, Annie Mae, Barbara Dyer, and art students from Chautauqua Learn and Serve. Lastly, there's a comedy open mic at the library on Beck every Wednesday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., hosted by our guest this week, Janet Fortune. Sign up at 7:30 p.m. That's all the community events I've got for this week. Tune in next week for more. We'll be back next Thursday, July 28th, with J.D. Justice from Palmetto Paint. After J.D., we'll have Michael R.J. Roth, who is an award-winning songwriter who has just recently relocated to the area. As always, if you'd like to support the podcast, please visit our Ko-fi page where you can make a one-time donation. It will be in the show notes below. Don't forget to follow us wherever you get your podcasts and share this with all your salty friends. If you liked our theme song, it was written by me and recorded by Dave Schwartz at Boundless Sounds on the campus of Gulf Coast State College. Again, if the podcast has brought value to your life, please hit that follow button, share with all your friends, or consider donating to the podcasts. All right, y'all, we'll see you next week. We'll have J.D. Justice here from Palmetto Paint. Until next time, keep St. Andrews salty.